Yes, sir. We're officially back at it. This is Book Nice coming at you with the Marvel Legends Infinite Series Entertainment Earth exclusive Guardians of the Galaxy box set review. Let's do it.
For no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey I'm fucking with. Hype beast we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about it.
Quick look at the box. Pretty big box. Marvel Legends logo, Entertainment Earth logo. There you go with the box art on the back. So taking a quick look at how they look in the third packaging. I guess you can say this is the clamshell that was in the second box. Let's start off with a group shot just so you can see everybody together real quick. I think the costumes match well. My initial reaction to the set is that it is an excellent set. It's a really good set. It's definitely, you definitely get a good amount for your money if you were able to order this through Entertainment Earth when they were actually given a discount code, or order it through the A.C.B.A. Fan page where we linked the site and gave the discount code. Then you were able to get the set for about $95 shipped, which is definitely a steal considering everything that you get here. You get the complete team and a lot of accessories. So I'm gonna go over each individual character, tell you how they are different from the original release. I mean, the only new character that we got here was Gamora. Everybody else has been released already in some capacity. It's just some differences with this pack here. I think the overall paint apps on the set came out really good. I have already seen 3 packs in hand. I have my own set here that I'm reviewing, and also my man Dave Johnson and also CJ sent sets to my house so I can ship it to them for cheaper, loose. Dave Johnson's in the United Kingdom and CJ's up in Canada, and every set that I've seen has had very good paint applications. If you haven't had the opportunity to order this yet, Entertainment Earth still has the set up, and I will link that in the description. So try to knock that out. I doubt that you can get the discount code, but even paying the full price with free shipping, it's still a pretty good deal for this set. Alright, so let's get into it. Looking at the smallest character first, Raccoon. Some very noticeable differences from the previous release. You can see that the face and the tail looks a little more stylized, looks a little different. If I'm not mistaken, this is similar to how he looks in the comic books right now. I think my man Dave Johnson actually mentioned that. I'll show you his accessories real quick. I just assumed that all of the guns in the pack were for Raccoon, aside from the 2 guns that we know for certain go to StarLord. So this is one of the guns that he comes with. This is one that I don't think we've seen before in any capacity. I don't remember seeing this gun anywhere. Pretty basic, not too much details. You can see a few of the little blue highlights on the gun there, and I believe that's on both sides. Yeah, you can see it on both sides. So it's pretty cool though. You can see it has sort of like a shoulder armrest there, but again, it's just a flat gray, no real highlights or details in it. Doesn't really have a problem holding any of the guns, so that's good. And although you can get them to hold this particular gun with both hands, you're going to definitely have a hard time getting them to hold it in sort of like an aiming position. That's really not going to happen. And then the last accessory, I would assume this is for Rocket as well. I mean, I guess you could use it with any of the characters, was this little repotted baby Groot here, which I think originally came with a Marvel Universe figure, if I'm not mistaken. Let me know in the comments if you know. And this came out pretty cool. So you can see not too much details. The eyes are easy to make out. I mean, it's easy to make out that it's in a humanoid form, that it's got the arms and legs and what have you. So it's pretty good though. Taking a look at both of the Raccoon figures side by side. So the one on the right was the original release, which was the Builder figure, which was a Builder figure, believe it or not. And the one on the left is the one that came complete in this set. So you can see some differences here. The one on the right has a darker blue uniform, and the red is a little more vibrant on the costume. His pouches are black in comparison to the newer release, which has the brown pouches, a lighter blue, and you know, the red on the gloves and the highlights of red is not as vibrant. I do really like the face on the new one, which again I believe is how he looks in the comic books right now. And you can see the older one looks sort of like I don't know, he looks okay. And let's see if you could swap out the parts. So you can definitely swap out the parts. I put the the newer head on an older body and vice versa. Same thing with the tails. And they work. And there's a nice close-up look at both of the faces. The newer head is actually a little larger, actually. And there's both of the tails. They both sculpted the same exact way, just different paint apps. I'm not going to go over the articulation too much on figures that we've already seen, because you've already seen a million reviews. So the articulation on both figures are pretty much the same. But I will say the range of motion on the head on the previous release is just a little bit better. I guess because the head is a little smaller, he can look down a bit farther than the newer one. The newer one doesn't get the same range. I mean, it's still on a ball joint, can still move it left and right and kind of pivot it. But as far as looking down, it does not look down as much as the older one. Like I said, I guess that's just because the head is a little larger. The tail is still articulated as well. You see that's on a ball joint. That's pretty much all I'm going to go over. We already know that this still leaves a bit to be desired in terms of articulation. I wish he could have got more articulation on the knees and elbows, but overall decent. Up next, we're looking at StarLord, which I think came out really, really nice as well. I mean, I'm pretty sure the consensus is that the original release was a really nice figure. We know that this was originally the AIM Soldier body mold, so it does get a nice range of motion. And I'm going to just go over the differences between this particular release and the previous one real quick. Just so these are the two guns that come with StarLord, and they look like crap. They are not painted. They're a kind of funny sort of baby blue, almost sort of, I don't even know what color this is, honestly. There is not even, they didn't even bother to put any paint here in the barrels of the gun or in the air holes, or what's supposed to be the air holes here in the gun, and it just looks horrible in comparison to the original guns that we got, which weren't that great to begin with, but I'll show you those real quick. Here's the original release of StarLord and the original guns, and you can see those are gray. You know, the color is better. It still wasn't good. I still feel like people complained about these, and a lot of people did a repaint on them when they first came out. But in this instance, the guns that we got with the original StarLord are definitely better, in my opinion. There they are side by side. The one on the right is the newer release with the newer gun, so you can see the two guns side by side, and you can see the difference in the uniforms, whereas the newer release has a lighter blue and the original release is a more navy blue. And you can see the helmets are a bit different as well in color, and you can see the belts are different. The older release has a black belt, whereas the new one has the brown, and the new one even has brown on the boots, which looks really cool. I like that, whereas the original release had black. So those are the major differences. Same thing as far as the rocket is concerned. The red on the original release is a little more rich, a little more vibrant, but you know, they both still look really, really good. You know, you can go with either one according to whatever's happening in the comic book. Next up, we're going to look at Drax, which I think is probably my favorite out of the box set. I would say that this is probably my favorite figure out of the box set. Let's take a look at his accessories real quick. So he comes with these knives, which are actually the same knives that came with the Warpath figure with both versions. I don't think too many people even actually got that figure. I feel like these knives came with another figure too. If you know, let me know in the comments. But these are cool. They got the black handle with the little ridges on the handle, and they've got the ridges in the knives, and the knives look nice, and you can tell that it's a blade and a handle, and there is some actual detail in it. So these look pretty good. He also came with these two knives, which are the knives that actually came with the movie version of Drax, which this particular version borrows a lot of parts from the movie version. I remember when the movie version came out, how much I liked that figure and how much I wish that the comic version of Drax was on that body, and that's pretty much what they did here. So I think a lot of people will be delighted to find that. A lot of people are happy about that. I'll go over some of the details with this figure too that are really nice. Some nice little surprises. Unlike the movie version or even the original comic version that was put out by Hasbro, this version actually comes with an extra set of hands, and I'll show you how those work real quick. So I'm not really up on Guardians of the Galaxy in the comic books like I've been saying throughout this review, but I do know that recently Agent Venom joined the team. I think Miss Marvel was on the team, and also Angela, who Hasbro has seemed to be wanting people to vote on to have her character made. So that would be cool if we actually did get the Angela figure, which is a really old character with Marvel, but apparently she is on the new Guardians of the Galaxy team. But I'm sidebarring here. Basically what I'm saying is that he comes with these sort of mechanical or metal hands, and I'm pretty sure that's how modern Drax is in the comic books right now. And he's also got these little gauntlets here, and the hands and the gauntlets are removable, so you can take these off and swap them out with the hands that I just showed, and I'll do that real quick. And there's the gauntlets in both hands, so you can see how those look, and they're black on one side, and then they've got some little ridges and what looks like it's supposed to be some energy running through them on that side, so that's pretty cool. And there he is with the hands, and that sort of, I guess, looks more like a classic Drax with just the regular hands and regular arms. And if you remember the movie version, which I don't have anymore, I can't compare the movie version, but he had a ton of tattoos, and some people actually did take that figure and sand it down and make a comic version, but not necessary now that we got a great comic version. This is the same body mold as Luke Cage or as Hyperion, and while it looks a little weird on Hyperion and Luke Cage, I feel like it fits Drax perfectly. I feel like this is a great body mold for Drax, and I think the figure looks great. Just looking at more of the details in the pants, you can see some red, and I guess, I don't know if that's supposed to be some type of buckle or something. But the other great thing is, just like the movie version, there is a little port here, or a little sheath where you can put the knives. I believe only the knives that came with the movie version will fit in there though. Let me check. But the boots look great. All the articulation from that Hyperion and from the Luke Cage mold is here. I'm not going to go over it, but you can see he's highly articulated. He's still got the peg holes in the back from Hyperion there. So maybe you might want to cover that up. I had sent my Luke Cage to Billy Mahoney and had him cover up that hole. But let's see how these knives fit in there real quick. Oh, that fits in there perfectly. You can put it in, take it out with no problem, and it stays. You know, it's not going to come out unless you want it to come out. So that looks really good. Unfortunately, the other knives don't fit there, and there is no other sheath or any other port to actually have them hold the other knives, which look better in my opinion. But at least you can have them with the knives holstered here. I still think that looks really cool. Although I don't have the movie Drax, I do have the original comic version of Drax, which looks ridiculous in comparison to the new one. I hate this figure with a passion. I really hated the way they had this on there, and it was molded on there, and you couldn't remove the knife, and I really hated the mold that they used for this figure originally. A lot of people had just taken this apart and used the parts and did some kit bashing with this body, but I hated this as Drax, and I hated the fact that it was articulated at the top of the wrist here, and there was no actual wrist hinge. This figure is just horrible, but you can see the size difference and how much better Drax is on this mold. So what a really great figure from the pack. And up next, we're looking at Gamora, which I think is probably the most anticipated figure out of this set for a lot of people. This is our first time getting a Gamora in a 6-inch form. And so, like I always say, I'm always about new characters. Anytime they give us a character that has never been produced in 6-inch for Marvel Legends, I'm all for that. Even if it gets screwed up sometimes, I'm okay with that. But I think this figure came out pretty nice. It's got some nice paint apps, and I think they did a couple of nice things as far as accessories and different things you can do here. As you can see, she's got the cloak here and the hood on right here, and she also comes with this interchangeable head without the hood, and I think it looks good. I think the paint on the face and everything looks really good. Looks like it's the same face that they've been using for Moonstone and Miss Marvel and some of the other females, which is kind of annoying, but I do think that the head sculpt looks really, really nice, and I'll show you how she looks without the cloak and everything. Taking a look at the sword first, which I'm not really a fan of. It looks okay. You know, it's pretty flat. It would have been nice if it had some nice detail and the handle, but there's not really much going on. I don't really like the sword, honestly. There's a side view of the cloak and the hood, it looks okay. I think it could have been a little more seamless as far as looking like the hood is coming from the cloak. I'll show you from the back. So it looks okay from the back. You really need to get this to sit there right and have the head popped on properly, but it's a lot going on under there. So at times the head could kind of pop off, but it looks okay. And I could see people using this for some other figure and doing some other things. I could see Hasbro reusing this for some other characters as well. But let me break it down and show you. So first the cape comes off, and this just attaches around the shoulders. It just sits on there. It sits pretty snug. It's not going to come off unless you're doing a lot and trying to really do something dynamic. But it's just pretty much a flat green. You can see some little creases in it. It's not flowing too much to look windswept or anything like that, which is good. I wouldn't really want that. And then you can see the two little gold parts here, which are supposed to be the portions holding it up. I forget what you actually call those, the technical name, but it looks okay. Then you have this other cloth part here, which is sort of like a, I don't know, like a felt. I don't know even know if I want to say it's felt, but in order to get that off, you got to pop off the head, and then you can see there's a little space here that allows you to pull it up over the neck, but it's also connected to the arm here. So you got to slip it down off the arm as well. And then when you look on the opposite side, the material is a little different. I would say this is more like a felt. I don't know. The material is different on each side. But that was pretty cool. That was a nice touch. I could see this getting really linty if you don't take care of it. So, definitely when you're not displaying or keep this stored away somewhere where it won't get a bunch of lint and stuff on it. And there she is without the cloak or the hood or the cape. And I think she looks really, really nice. I think the paint apps on her came out really good. This belt here is a separate piece. It's the same exact body mold as Moonstone and Miss Marvel and some of the other females. And as we know, this body looks great. It's a nice medium build for a female. I think it looks excellent for Gamora. And I think some of the problems that those other characters have had on their body molds, as far as like, I feel like on Miss Marvel and Moonstone, they had like the same sort of little specked area or area here with some damage that was coming out on all of them. I don't really see that here, although I do see a little line here on the thigh, but for the most part, everything looks good. All of the parts are moving properly. The articulation is not screwed up or hindered or anything like that. I think she came out really nice. As always, I just wish the female figures had an ab crunch and had as much articulation as the male, so you could really get them into some dynamic poses as well and really take your A.C.B.A. to the next level. But I think Gamora came out great. I just said the articulation wasn't hindered at all. What I really meant was that everything was working properly. None of the joints were fused or anything like that. Everything is working how it should be, but the articulation on the head is actually hindered. You cannot really turn her head left or right too much. The hair in the back is definitely hindering articulation. You can't really get her to look up or down, and that's pretty annoying, but that is something, pretty much the same problems that we face with the other characters on its mold. And she does hold the sword really nicely with no problem, but I kind of wish they would have went the other extra step and given us an interchangeable hands for her so she could actually hold the sword with both hands. That would have been cool. But other than that, she came out. Looking at Groot, which the two major differences between this one and the Build-A-Figure that we got from the Guardians of the Galaxy wave is the color and the head sculpt. So this head sculpt obviously looks a little more menacing and angry. I'll get like a real good close look in a moment. And the figure is actually painted. There's actually some paint on it, which makes it look 10 times better than the original version. Obviously, I'll get some comparisons here, but you can pretty much just throw that other one in the garbage. As far as I'm concerned, this one came out much better. Only thing I would have liked is for us to actually get some accessories with Groot. Maybe if they could have made it where you could swap out the arms and have some extended parts, some rigid parts, or some jagged parts, or some different things. Maybe an arm with bendy wire or something like that. That would have been really, really nice. So it looks like A.C.B.A. is going to have to put out something in terms of that. So stay tuned for that. But I do like the way this figure came out. I do like that they went and gave you the menacing look. And this is definitely how the head or the character's face looked in the comic books somewhat recently. I do know that. So this came out really nice. I'll show you some comparisons. You can see the major difference here. A lot of people took the original Build-A-Figure Groot and repainted him to look a little more how this newer version looks. But it's the same exact body mold. Only major difference is the head sculpt. You know, he's got a more docile, relaxed look in the original version, and a lot of people actually had put a more angry, more menacing head sculpt on the older version when they repainted it. So now you got that, and I guess some people who didn't really alter the original one may want to take that head now and kind of paint it up to look like the original if you want to have them in a kind of relaxed state. I'll see if the heads can be swapped. Let me check that out real quick. Yep, so the pegs fit perfectly, so I guess we'll see a lot of that happening. I would assume that you could even probably break down the older figure and maybe kind of mess with the parts and swap out the parts to elongate the arms on whatever one you intend to keep. I would probably see a lot of that happening too, being that you could easily remove the parts from the Build-A-Figure one. I haven't actually tried to remove them from the new version to see if they were actually glued in or what have you. But I'm not going to do it right now. As I'm doing this review, this is my first time messing around with the figures and stuff too. But the articulation is the same, like I said, so the newer one definitely looks much better. Alright, so I'm out of here. Setting up a little something for the page. Going to snap some flicks, but as far as this review is concerned, this is pretty much the end. I would absolutely, definitely recommend this set. I think they all look great together. I think you're going to be able to get some really nice display options out of them. Again, a lot of improvements on the original versions, and we finally got a Gamora figure, so I mean, you can't really complain about that. And Hasbro has been pumping out Legends this year. You got to give them credit for that as well. And you're going to see how Hasbro's poll pans out. They had a poll that they started at San Diego Comic-Con this year, and then I guess they narrowed it down to a few figures. Honestly, I don't trust I don't trust the Hasbro poll. So we actually put together a poll on the A.C.B.A. fan page with some other characters that we think should be made in figure form to complete some teams. So I'll link that poll too, trying to get as many people to participate as possible. You can pick up to 3 people from our poll, and it only takes literally 30 seconds, 40 seconds for you to just log in the votes. And we just want to see what the A.C.B.A. community is saying, what the collecting community is saying. And that's that. That's pretty much the end of this review. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.
That's crispy.